A former Dallas police officer who shot and killed her neighbor last year has been found guilty of murder. Amber Guyger killed Botham Jean, an unarmed black man, after claiming that she mistook his apartment for her own. She said that she shot him because she thought he was an intruder. CBS News correspondent Omar Villafranca is at the courthouse in Dallas. Omar, how was prosecution able to convince the jury on this one?
Well, it was a long process, Arena. It was really laying out the arguments easily so the jury could basically process it all. And what they were saying was that as a police officer, she should have seen the signs that it was not her apartment, even though she says she was a little bit distracted and had worked overtime, and that she didn't. And they got her on the stand to testify to her police training when you pulled your service weapon, that you shot, were you trying to kill him per your training? And she said yes. So they got her to say that on the stand. The defense is arguing that it was just a series of horrible mistakes that led to this. And they were actually pushing, obviously, for lesser charges or no charges at all. Interesting to note, murder was on the table, so was manslaughter. Murder has 5 years to 99 years in prison, and manslaughter has up to 20 years or probation. And when the verdict was read in the courtroom, everybody was curious to see which was going to happen. And when it was murder and guilty, there was an audible gasp. And Judge Tammy Kemp had been telling everybody, I don't want to hear anything, keep it quiet. But the emotions were just raw on both sides. And it was interesting to hear that.
So ultimately, Omar, how much prison time do you think Amber Guyger could face?
She could get, first of all, it's going to be up to the jury. 5 to 99 years. She could spend the rest of her life in prison. And mind you, this is here in Texas. It was not capital murder. It was murder. So the death penalty is not on the table. But she could spend the rest of her life in prison.
Incredible. You know, the city was bracing for unrest if the verdict went the other direction. What's the family saying and what's the community saying about this?
The family, and keep in mind, the family's not allowed to talk. There's a gag order. We talked to them before the trial started, and Allison Jean told me that she was telling everybody to be like Botham in that she says, listen, we're from St. Lucia. We're island people. Everything is very relaxed. She said she would come to Dallas and her stress level would go up to be around with her son driving around. Traffic in the big city scared her. But she said Botham would always tell her, Mom, chill. And that's a message she passed on before the trial. No matter what happens, she said she wanted people to relax. And she said her son was such a positive person, singing in the choir, involved in his community, just like hanging out with his friends. He was a 26-year-old, being a 26-year-old who was on the up and up. Here's a kid who was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers after graduating from college in Arkansas. And, you know, his future is very bright. He could have gone anywhere in the world with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and he started here. Family was basically telling people, be calm, you know, act of faith. They're a very religious family, you know, pray about this and let's hope for the best. When the verdict was read, the family was crying in court, but there were tears of joy.
Just no one really wins in a case like this, in a trial like this, but so fascinating. Thank you so much, Omar Villafranca, very much for joining us from Texas.
Thank you.